I, 32M, am getting married in 6 months. Last night, my fiancée, Jenna, 30F, and I were at our engagement party at a small gallery. It was perfect. Our family's closest friends, everything. I was mid-toast when the doors opened and Clarissa, 31F, my ex, walked in. A hush fell over the room. We haven't spoken in over a year, for very good reasons. Before anyone could react, she raised a glass. "A toast," she said, her voice loud and sharp. "To the happy couple. I just want to warn you, Jenna. He cheated on me, and he'll cheat on you too." My mom gasped. Jenna's hand tightened on mine. For a second, the old hurt flared up, but then a cold calm took over. I looked at Clarissa's smug face and knew I couldn't let her bulldoze this moment. "Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Clarissa," I said, my voice steady and clear across the silent room. I turned to my jacket, but not for documents. I pulled out my phone. "However," I continued, "some of you know my last relationship was difficult. Most of you don't know the extent of it." I addressed the room, not her. "A year ago, I had to get a restraining order against Clarissa for harassment and stalking. That order is still active." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Clarissa's smugness faltered. "I didn't want any trouble tonight," I said. "But I did take precautions." I nodded toward the entrance, where 2 private security guards I'd hired for the event were now walking toward her. I'd given them her photo and a heads up about a potential unwanted guest with a restraining order. It was a just-in-case measure that suddenly felt like the sanest decision I'd ever made. "You are in direct violation of a court order," I said to her. Her face went from pale to furious. "You can't do this." "I was just telling the truth." "Ma'am," one of the guards said calmly, "we need you to come with us. The police have been notified of the situation." She became hysterical as they led her out, shouting, "You'll regret this. You'll never be happy." The doors closed, and she was gone. The party was effectively over, but as Jenna's father put a hand on my shoulder, I knew we would be okay. She wanted to ruin our night. She only ended up ruining her own. Update 1 week later. It's been a wild week. Thanks for the supportive comments. It helps to know I'm not crazy for being prepared. The police did meet the security guards outside, and Clarissa was arrested for violating the restraining order. She was released on bail after 48 hours, with a court date set for next month. The immediate fallout was messy. My family and Jenna's were amazing, just furious on my behalf. The real drama came from Clarissa's side. Her sister, Brenda, launched an immediate social media offensive. She posted a long rant about how I was a manipulative monster who emotionally abused Clarissa and that the restraining order was just my tool to silence her. According to Brenda, I had set Clarissa up, and her appearance at the party was a desperate cry for help. A few of our old mutual friends started liking and sharing the post. The narrative she was spinning was that I was a vindictive ex who punished a poor, heartbroken woman. I didn't engage online. Instead, I sent a short, polite email to a few key people who were at the party and saw Brenda's post. I attached redacted copies of the police reports, the ones detailing her showing up at my apartment screaming at 3 a.m. and the witness statement about her keying my car. I just wrote, "Sorry you're in the middle of this. Here is the context. I won't be discussing it further." The tide turned quickly. Then came the first dirty trick. I got a call from my boss on Tuesday. He sounded uncomfortable. "Alex," he said, "I received an anonymous email alleging you've created a hostile environment for female colleagues. I know this is nonsense, but HR has to look into it." It was a clear attempt to mess with my job. I calmly explained the situation with my ex and the timing. He was understanding, but the HR process is now a cloud hanging over my head. My lawyer has a copy of the email. Clarissa's mom, Carol, also called me, crying. "Alex, how could you? She's a wreck. You've ruined her life over a little mistake. Can't you ask them to drop the charges?" "Carol," I said, "your daughter broke the law when she came to my engagement party to harass my fiancé. This isn't a mistake, it's a pattern. The legal system will handle it now." I hung up and blocked her. The entitlement is staggering. They genuinely believe her feelings are the only thing that matters and her actions should have no consequences. They think they can bully me into backing down. They're about to find out how wrong they are. Update 2, 3 weeks later. The pressure campaign has intensified. It's like they're trying anything to see what works. The HR investigation at my job concluded last week. It was a week from hell, but every colleague they interviewed, male and female, had my back. HR dismissed the complaint as unsubstantiated and likely malicious. The timing was officially noted in the report, which my lawyer says is great for building our case. Still, it was a calculated move to destabilize my career. Next, Jenna started getting DMs from fake Instagram accounts. There were photos of Clarissa and me from years ago, with captions like, "He'll never love you like he loved me." It was childish but deeply unsettling. Jenna is strong, but it's hard to ignore. We documented everything, screenshotted the profiles, and added it all to the file for our lawyer. The biggest escalation came last week. I received a letter from a lawyer Clarissa hired. It was a formal demand for $50,000 for emotional distress and public humiliation caused by her arrest. The letter claimed I had entrapped her and that her spontaneous emotional outburst was a direct result of the trauma of our relationship. It threatened a civil suit if I didn't pay and issue a public apology. I laughed. The audacity was breathtaking. My lawyer, Ms. Evans, drafted a firm response. It included a point-by-point rebuttal of every claim, referencing the existing police reports. A notice that we have documented the anonymous HR complaint and social media harassment of Jenna as evidence of a continued harassment campaign. A statement that any civil suit would be met with a countersuit for malicious prosecution and defamation. A final paragraph insisting all future communication go through her. Any direct contact from Clarissa or her family would be reported as a further violation. We sent it off. Complete silence from their end. Through all this, Jenna has been my rock. This could have torn a couple apart, but we're a team. We booked our honeymoon last night, a remote cabin with no cell service. It felt like an act of defiance. The court date is next week. I'm not nervous. I'm ready. Final update, 6 months later. It's over. The chapter is finally completely closed. The court hearing was the turning point. Clarissa showed up in a demure dress, flanked by her sister and mom, ready to play the victim. She told a story of a woman scorned who made a single, emotional mistake. Then Ms. Evans took the floor. She calmly presented the facts. She played the 911 call from when Clarissa tried to break down my door. She showed the judge the 37 harassing texts she sent in 1 hour. She presented photos of my keyed car, screenshots of the fake accounts that targeted Jenna, and a report from my company's HR investigation. The final nail in the coffin was the gallery's security footage. It showed Clarissa striding purposefully into the party. It didn't look spontaneous. It looked like a planned attack. When Ms. Evans asked Clarissa if she felt any remorse, she looked right at me and said, "I regret that he's so vindictive." The judge was not impressed. She called Clarissa's actions a calculated and malicious campaign of harassment. For the restraining order violation, she handed down a sentence that was, in its own way, worse than jail time for Clarissa. A 90-day suspended jail sentence. This means if she violates the order again in any way within the next 2 years, she goes directly to jail. A hefty fine and court-ordered restitution for all of my legal and security costs, totaling nearly $15,000. 150 hours of community service. A mandatory psychological evaluation and anger management course, which she has to pay for. Finally, the judge extended the restraining order for another 5 years. Her mother actually yelled, "This is an outrage," and was escorted out of the courtroom. The financial penalty, the public record of the conviction, and the humiliation of mandatory therapy was the perfect consequence. The fallout was swift. Brenda's social media went silent. I heard the public humiliation and the hard evidence of her lies caused a major rift in her friend group. Clarissa is now living with her parents, bitter and broke. There is no remorse, only blame for everyone but herself. And me? I'm fantastic. Jenna and I got married 2 months ago in a small, private ceremony. It was perfect. We just got back from our honeymoon. The whole ordeal was awful, but it was necessary. She wanted to prove she could still control my life. We had to prove that she couldn't. The real justice was in the quiet, methodical way we took back our peace and moved on. She wanted to be the main character in my story. Now, she's not even a footnote.